Last time at the Spellcorp Industrial Complex, we entered the digital age and got our Applied Energistics 2 computer system set up, and in between episodes I started loading up some of the drawers with some of the things we have in bulk and some of the blocks and whatnot to free up some space, and I even made a few extra drives to start clearing up some chests. So let's get into it today, where we're going to look at autocrafting. Oh yeah, would you look at this? In between episodes, I cleaned up a bunch of these chests, I got everything moved out of here, and I got it moved into our big warehouse, and I'll come over to the trailer as well, and I'll show you the big improvement in here. Look at that, no chests in here, it's all empty. Let's go take a look at the warehouse, shall we? You already would have seen some of it in the preview there, but let's go take a look at what we have going on in here now. First things first, the drawers on the left, I got a bunch of just blocks and things. I started filling them up. There is not really much semblance of order. Sometimes I was trying to go by color. Other times I just filled things in to fill them in, honestly, because I just couldn't be bothered to sort them all out. Because what this is it's basically just bulk storage. It doesn't have to be super organized for me anyways, because a lot of it's just going to be building blocks and things. And I think I like the idea of these drawers like being able to be fully emptied and then filled up with another thing whenever it needs the space, and then we can just deal with overflow with the drives, I guess. But yeah, it's not too organized. There's just a bunch of different blocks and things strewn about in here, so we got some of them filled up. Mostly this side's filled up. I didn't touch this side at all, I don't think. Nope, I did not. Had to make sure, but we got lots set up there. And then over here, let's talk a little about what's been done at the minute. So if we look at our drive bay, I have it filled up with 10 4K drives, and some of them, as you can see here with the yellow, are already full of, I think that means their bytes are full, or okay, 63 types. It means they're full of the different types of items they can have, so it moves on to the next one. So we have quite a lot of item types, and I guess that's going to be a problem with this, is the item types is being used more than the bytes. So we'll run into some efficiency issues, but I'm thinking we'll probably fix that problem with sheer bulk of drives and just throw a ton of drives at the issue. Now let's take a look here though in our ME crafting terminal. Look at this, I got everything moved into here. We got tons of ore and different stuff and bars and food items and a whole mix of garbage, to be honest. A lot of this I would imagine is never going to be used, but it's nice to have it all in one place where we can just search for everything, right? So if we need iron, we can get iron. If we need our gold, we can get gold. And frankly, it's very similar to the refined storage system that we've seen in Vault Hunters. It works very similar, but there's going to be a lot of different neat stuff that we can do with the Applied Energistics ones using their channels and whatnot. So very cool. Let's come over here to this complicated contraption. All right, so I needed a way to make all these drives fast, because these drives, they take the 4K ME storage component, and those take 1K ME storage components, and each of these requires a logic processor, and these were just too annoying to make. I had to keep feeding stuff in, and the way that this works is it crafts the different processors for me based on whatever ones get fed into here. So let's take a look. First off, we need our silicon printed at the bottom here, and we need our redstone. Those are going to be used in all of the processors, so it's important that we have a stockpile in here, right? So let's see. Printed silicon, you're going to put silicon into this barrel on the right, and it's going to pump into it using these little pipes, the item pipes ones. And we have the inscriber silicon press. It just turns it into the thing. It pumps it out, it puts it into there, and then it puts one into here at the bottom. Easy as that. Redstone's just as simple, it pipes it straight out. The top one looks like a bit of a mess, but it works for what we have. So we have inputs here for the different ones. We have our logic press, our calculation press, and our engineering press. So those are gold, Certus quartz, and diamond respectively. And then those just get piped out into the inscriber. When the inscriber completes it, it gets piped out into this top one, and then it just takes whatever ones we have and it feeds it into here. So that's perfect. That's how I've been getting my presses, or sorry, the processors. That's how I've been getting the processors, and then that's how I was able to make a few more of these drives pretty easily. It's mostly been the resources trying to get the Certus quartz that's been throttling me at the minute. So today I do want to take this to the next step, and I want to make it so that I can go in here and I can start to request items. I want a way to, maybe I need these processors, maybe I need 10 of the gold, whatever they are. I want a way to, in the system here, when I'm out, I want to be able to see that I have no logic processors, and I want to be able to request them, and I want to be able to craft them. So we're going to be looking at auto crafting and how to hook that up with some of this. And to be honest, I'm quite unfamiliar with how Applied Energistics 2 does it. I remember the gist of it with refined storage, but AE2, I don't really remember. So we're going to have to read the quest log a bit here to figure all that out. What does the quest log have in store for us? First one that we're gonna need, auto-crafting. Storage is nice and all, but what good is a storage system if it's clogged up with raw materials needing to be crafted and processed into something and you're still stuck with having to do it manually? Is this you? It's me right now. So AE2's auto-crafting system begins with the ME pattern provider. The pattern provider holds certain items called patterns covered in the next quest, which are programmed to hold some recipe that turns input items into a certain output. Up to 9 patterns can fit in one provider. You'll often be making use of multiple pattern providers scattered all throughout your base, which is why it's useful to have a pattern access terminal to remotely access the contents of any and all providers on your wider ME network. So first up, we gotta make this pattern provider and a pattern access terminal. Let's pull these up in here. Pattern provider. I actually have enough to make one. Easy as that, hey? And then access terminal. Pattern access terminal. And we have enough for that too. Do we need both at the same time? Nope, we're good. On to the next one, patterns. Maybe we should hook this up first though. Let's grab some cable. What is this cable called? Fluix glass cables. Let's hook some of it. Let's hook it up right there. And a pattern access terminal. We have nothing. It shows nothing. That's expected because we have no recipes yet. So what's next? Patterns are what hold an encoded recipe to be fulfilled by a pattern provider. To encode a recipe onto a pattern, the ME pattern encoding terminal must be used. Patterns can be set to hold a regular recipe, which will require the use of a molecular assembler on the face of its provider, or a more general processing recipe, wherein any input items can be sent out by the provider into some other machine block or specialized processing plant. That would be what we're gonna need for this, so we'll need those pattern providers to get this thing making our special stuff for us. But what did we need? We needed a pattern. We need to make a pattern encoding terminal, which needs a crafting terminal, which needs an ME terminal, which needs an illuminated panel, which needs quartz glass, which needs glass. And I have none. Glass. I want glass, please. Pattern encoding terminal needs a crafting terminal, which needs a regular terminal, which needs an illuminated panel, which needs this, and then glass, and we can make that. And we need formation cores and annihilation cores, and it never ends. And this is exactly why we're making auto crafting, because I don't want to have to do this all the time. Pattern encoding terminal, fantastic. And now we need a pattern as well, a blank pattern. Do I have the stuff? I have the stuff, and we're gonna need more glass to make more of that. Patterns complete. We got 8 blank patterns for that? Oh, baby, I love it. Okay, molecular assembler. Wait a minute, now can we start messing around with this then? Now that we have pattern encoding terminal, can I start making things? We put these in here. Okay. So, I want, let's say we're gonna do this a simple way first. Let's try a blast furnace, and maybe let's make a recipe for smelting raw zinc into zinc ingots. So how do we have to do this? Okay. I put 1 raw zinc in here, and maybe this in here? No. Processing patterns. Crafting patterns, processing, smithing table, stone cutting. Okay, I want a processing pattern, and primary processing result can be requested through the automated system. So we want a zinc ingot. So 1 raw zinc turns into 1 zinc ingot, and we encode the pattern. So we have that pattern, and now we have to put it somewhere. And we need this. I think we need the pattern provider to do that. So I have to make another one of these, which means we need crafting table. And I need more wood. I don't have any wood in the system. Okay, well, so the neat thing about these drawers is they aren't connected to my ME system yet, so I kind of have to come in here manually and find the stuff still. Maybe a bit of a fault on my part, but that's okay. Okay, our pattern provider's done. Now I feel like we need a way to actually interface with our blast furnace, so we might need like this hopper, because I think it has to go inside it or something. So how do we do this? Can I maybe load a hopper from the top and put a pattern provider on top of that? Whoops. Put a pattern provider on top. It shows a big long list when I hold shift. Okay, and we throw a pattern in for zinc. We have to hook this up, and I think I'm all out of Fluix cables, which I think means I need more glass, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Well, I'll be back with that. Now we can hook it up with our cables, and that should show up on our system, I think, right? And it shows up as a pattern into a hopper. Amazing. Processing pattern produces 1 zinc ink. Okay. Now, what was it called? Zinc ingot. Okay, we have this little plus here now. None of the other ones have the plus because that plus means we can craft it. And I think if I middle mouse click, yeah, it shows up. Okay, there's 406. Let's pull it all out though so we can see it easily. When there's nothing in here, it shows that I can craft it. And say I want to craft 10. It is missing raw zinc, and there's no crafting CPUs available. That might be an issue. Okay, let's put our raw zinc in here and see. I want to craft 10? No crafting CPUs are available. Okay, so we have to make crafting CPUs. We will resume that once we make crafting CPUs then, I suppose. That's what this is, crafting storage. Before we can carry out an auto crafting job, you need a device to actually store the request itself, along with any interim items for multi-step crafts. This device is known as a crafting CPU. A crafting CPU is a multi-block structure requiring at least 1 crafting storage block, this guy right here. Optionally, along with any other crafting unit, the multi-block can be made in any size, but must be a solid cuboid in order to form and function accordingly. Okay, so it can't be hollow, it has to be full of blocks. Crafting storage, they are in the same sizes as the other things, I see. Oh, what if I want to make a 4K one? We need a crafting unit, which is somewhat expensive, but we can make it. And a 4K ME component, which needs more glass. Maybe this is a hint that the very first thing I should automate should be glass. There we go, 4K ME storage component and 4K crafting storage, and we're just gonna throw this wherever I want for now because this thing is a mess at the moment. Crafting status, none. Okay, now we're finally ready. Let's pull all our zinc out again, and I want to craft 10 zinc. Crafting CPU automatic. Oh, or we can choose. Let's do automatic then. Start. It says it's trying to craft it. Oh, that's cool. It shows up like at the very top to show that we're making it. And let's see, does that pull the ore and put it in the hopper? It does, and it puts it into the blast furnace. Okay. Now I wonder if I can use this without the hopper. We'll play around with that in a second, but it's in here. We need fuel. Obviously, this isn't how we're actually going to do it because we would use like an electric, whatever it is, an electric smelter from Mechanism. Maybe we can make one actually. I have what it takes to make one, so let's just make one. And we'll hook the power up behind here, and we will change it to be an energized smelter. And then let's throw our 10 zinc back in because this is expecting it. Now we need a way to get that back in the ME system. I think we need like an import bus. The way it seems to work with these processing ones is that it shows it's crafting 10, but because we have no way of putting it back in the system, it's never gonna update this, and it's always gonna think that we have 10 to craft. So we have to figure out how to pull them from the energized smelter and put them into the ME system, and I think an import bus is what we need, or an export bus. I don't really remember. Kind of confused me. I think import because it's importing it into the system. Let's just give it a try. What can go wrong? I need a piston, I need cobblestone. Well, I need to hook this up. I don't even know where the cobblestone is. Do I have cobblestone? Cobblestone stairs. Oh, cobblestone. Already neglecting to use the drawers properly. So now, can we just hook this up right here? And then cable it? Network apprentice, reach 8 channels reach 8 channels using devices on a network. Okay, it's pulled the zinc out. It's not in here anymore, and we have 10 zinc. Oh, just like that, huh? Cool. So, similarly, I guess I could make a recipe for glass then, right? Where is this thing? Here. Let's make a new pattern. I'm looking, I need glass, new processing pattern, and sand. And it would be a 1-to-1. And we encode the pattern. And then I can put it in our pattern provider. And now we have 144 glass, but let's say we want to make 100 more. We have 100 sand available, and we'll get started. And this starts pumping it into the hopper, and it starts going into the smelter. And just like that, it's going to keep going. And we're going to get glass made up. Sweet. So we have a very rudimentary auto crafting setup already. Oh, great. This is going so well. Next on the agenda, I guess, is figuring out how to hook all this up and combining these things to it to figure it out. I'll do some thinking. Before I tackle the inscribers, I figured I'd play around a little bit with this pattern provider and see kind of how it works. So for one, it seems like I can only have one recipe going at a time in this crafting storage system at the minute, because you'll see I have this dark oak that's trying to be crafted with this pattern provider. But now if I try to request glass, it'll probably tell me that there's no crafting CPUs available. No crafting CPUs are available. And that's because this is already being used by this one, and this is not a real crafting recipe, because I was just playing around to see kind of how the pattern provider is going to work for us, because it looks like we're actually going to be able to use this pattern provider here without this hopper. It should be able to interface directly, and I can tell because when I look in here, it shows me my different pattern providers and what they're connected to. So one is connected to the hopper on the left there, and then one is connected to this oak chest, which means it's directly interfacing with this block. So I think I should just be able to connect it right to the smelter, and we can see what that's gonna look like here. But first I have to cancel this one, and we'll have to break down this stuff. But let's see, let's put our pattern provider there. Does it recognize it still? Energize smelter. Okay, and I think I can actually just put them in here, can't I? Yes. And then now we don't need that hopper, and it should be able to put stuff straight in. So if we say glass, let's do a little bit less this time. Let's do 10 glass, and we'll start. It's crafting it, and it put it all straight into here already, and that's going, okay, good. Because I think that means I'll just be able to use these, and I won't have to do some weird way to interface with the inscribers. To start, I'm gonna tear all this down because it's bad, it's ugly, and we're gonna make it better. Now we're definitely gonna need more channels than what we're able to use at the minute, so we're gonna reorganize this, and I'm actually gonna put my controller right here so that I can pull out the side of it as well, and that'll get us more channels. And all my drives are spilled on the floor now. Great. That should be right. Now we want to pull from this one, and I want to hook up the inscribers, and I want them to kind of be on an on-demand basis. So how are we going to do this? If we think about the inscribers for a second, there's going to be 5 different ones that we need. So we need one that'll let us make any of the processors, and then we need an individual inscriber for each of the printed circuits we can make. So silicon, the logic press, the engineering, and the calculation. So I guess we'll start with, we'll make a couple of these in a line, because you need to input from the, on these ones I just need to input from the top? No, from the back. We just need to input from the back because it has to go in the middle. Okay. Let's run 4 of them in a line. And then in each of these, we're going to put our presses. I guess I need to put a pattern provider on each of them, though, which is where we get expensive on the channels, because each of these is also going to take one, isn't it? Or does it just take from the patterns? I don't know. We'll make a couple. We'll make a few more and see. Okay, with these 4 pattern providers, we can probably put them all like this now, right? And can I just connect it like that? And we get 4 inscribers, okay, and we want each of them to be unique with what they'll contain. We have 12 channels showing, that's fine. So each of these is gonna need the individual one, right? And we'll have to set up processing patterns for them, but we'll also need a way to import this back into the system. And the way we're gonna handle that is to save on some of the channels, we're gonna pipe it out into, I guess, this barrel, and then we'll just use an import bus to put it back into the system. With our import bus there, okay, that runs, and now we can set up the patterns for this. Okay, we want a processing pattern, and we need printed stuff. Can I drag? Oh, you can drag, just like the refined storage one. So printed calculation circuit, that one needs the Certus quartz, so we'll put that in here, and we'll put Certus quartz. We'll put 1 Certus quartz because it's a 1-to-1. We need that. We need a printed logic circuit, and this one's going to be the gold. And then we need a diamond for our engineering circuit. And is there a way to change the number? 1 set. Perfect. Where did my patterns all just disappeared? Oh, they went into the system. Perfect. And we need our printed engineering circuit, and that's that one. And then just silicon, right? Silicon, whatever. So that is all 4 of our patterns, and now we just have to put them in the correct pattern providers. You're going to be our silicon, you are logic, you're engineering, and you are calculation. Okay, and now they show up in here. We have to power these though, which I didn't consider. So let's just run this up here like that. And then now in our main ME system, if I go printed, we can make an engineering circuit. Sure. We can make a silicon one. No crafting CPUs are going to be available yet because it'll be making this. It's made it. And we didn't hook up our pipes correctly. We have to make it pull it out. And that'll pull it out. And this should become available in a moment. If it ever pulls it out. Oh. It didn't correctly put it in. Oh, it must have put it in there because I didn't set them in the right order. I didn't change the outputs in the right order. We put it back in here, it gets imported into the system, and our crafting status clears. And we have 1 printed engineering. Let's just try the rest of them and make sure they're all good to go. Calculation works, logic works, and silicon works. Sweet. So now we have an on-demand system to make whichever one of these that we need, and it puts them right into the system. So, fantastic. Now we just need to be able to make the processors, which is going to be the same thing, but we just need an inscriber that lets it put all of them in. So we'll just need another pattern provider. We'll need 1 because with the 1 pattern provider, we're going to be able to put all 4 of the different ones because we don't have to worry about them being unique because we don't have to put these presses in here. It'll just put the right items in that it needs. We'll take this pattern provider and we'll take our other inscriber and we're going to put it here. It might get complicated actually. I don't know if this is going to be able to feed them all into the correct spot because the inscriber requires you to put them in the correct spot, doesn't it? Okay, so maybe it will be a little harder and we'll have to put it into like a chest and then pipe them into the correct spots. We can just mess around with it and see what happens, I guess. Oh, look at that. You can actually just take these and right from JEI, I can hit encode pattern and it puts all the right parts in it for me. That makes it significantly easier. Cool. We'll put all these in here. And now let's see what breaks when we try to craft one. I'll say let's craft an engineering. We have 11 in there already and we have all the parts available. We're going to start. What is it going to do? And immediately it puts it in the wrong spot. Okay, so we do have to push it into the correct spot, I guess. To put it in the correct spot, I basically need a way to take the 3 different ingredients to make a processor and then pull them from one input and put it into the inscriber. So we'll have a pattern provider connected to a chest, and then I just need a way to pull from the chest and filter them into the correct spot. And I think the way we're going to do that is using a logistical sorter from Mechanism. We'll tear this down to make some room here because we're going to have to change this up a bit. We need to be able to input from the bottom of the inscriber, so it needs to be 1 higher. And we're going to use this logistical transporter thing, so that'll let us input from the bottom. We'll need 1 to input from the back and 1 to input from the top. And we can hook these all up because we're going to change their colors so that they get input the correct way. And then I think we should just be able to put a chest and our pattern provider, and that should show up in the system as adjacent to different machines, oak chest, and basic logistical transporter. Can it not be adjacent to multiple things? Is that going to be a problem for us? Okay, well, we'll change it again then. We'll put it there, and that clears up the ambiguity. It's next to the oak chest. So what we want now is going to put all the items into there when we go to make one, right? Let's cancel the recipe, and let's call it again. Now if we try to make our engineering processor, we make 1. It has all the parts. It did something with the other ones? Oh, it gave them to me, I see. Okay, let's just dump all this stuff in here. We'll try to make our engineering processor. It has everything. We'll hit start, and it's going to throw all 3 of them into this chest, and then we have to pull them from the chest and make sure they go in the correct spots. For the right circuit, I think it's like this, right? It doesn't really matter. We can put 1 in top, 1 in bottom. So how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to use this logistical sorter. And I think the way I do this is it needs to be next to the thing to pull it out. And it's going to then put it into this logistical transporter. And then we can set up multiple outputs so that it tells us which item it's going to send to which input of our inscriber. If we take our mechanism wrench and we change it to configure items, I think you can set colors, can't you? Somehow there's a way to set colors. Oh, just like that. You just right click in the center of it. Okay, so let's say we have these 3 items. We want the redstone to go into the middle. So we're gonna set a signal on this one. Oh, whoops. Change our wrench setting again. We're gonna set this one to, let's say, dark red. Sure. And then in this logistical sorter, we create a filter. Item stack? This is gonna take some figuring out, I think. New filter, item stack, redstone dust, and you can set the color to dark red. That's one filter. So now, if I put this in here, does it pull it out? It pulls it out. It puts it to the dark red slot and puts it straight into the center. Amazing. Okay. Now let's do maybe one at the bottom here. We're gonna do, we'll do black as the filter for our printed silicon. And I'll do item stack, black, save, and now that should pull this out. It doesn't seem to do it. Filter enabled. Printed silicon, why isn't it pulling this one? It pulled the redstone out, but it's not pulling this out. I wonder if it's because it can't pass the red part of this. That might be why. Well, we'll try again. Here we go. I got it figured out. Okay, we kind of had to make a weird system so that all 3 endpoints of this logistical transporter can be accessed without passing through another color, because otherwise the logistical transporter doesn't know where to send it. It can't see past that. So we just had to connect each of these 3 up to one main line, and then the logistical transporter is able to do that. So now with this system, okay, we have them all hooked up. Let's try one more time. This should be the run that we need. Our engineering processor, we're gonna hit run. We're gonna start. It's gonna pump all of the different ingredients into it. They should all go into the correct spaces. And it starts making our processor. Amazing. And then we can just pump it out along this same line. And then that is automated processors, which is fantastic, honestly. That's so good. So now we have 12 in the system. Sweet, so we can just auto-craft them. Through this process, I've kind of learned a little bit, and I think we could actually get away with using less pattern providers. We could probably get away with using only one, to be honest. We would still need all these independent inscribers, but I think I can just hook this up where we take this logistical sorter and we actually pump it into the back of each of these inscribers with a different color channel. And then when it receives the different things, so it would receive gold, it would receive the silicon, it would receive the Certus quartz or diamond, it would recognize those. It knows not to put them into this inscriber, but it would be able to tell to put them down into these ones. And then we could actually just get away with having just the one pattern provider, and it would be able to handle all of those. So that might be what I improve upon next time. But unfortunately, that's all I have time for today. Thanks for joining me at the Spellcorp Industrial Complex. We got a lot done. We got the basics of auto crafting. We're going to be able to start making major improvements to our ME system, and it all just kind of compounds from here. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and thanks for coming out. Love you. Bye.